All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chid from Gooner Evil Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. You know me, I'm always running late. Apologies for that. But pleased to know I've got two guests on with me to do part two of my season preview. So joining me today is Mike. Say hello again to the people. Mike.
What's going on? Thanks, Chick, for having me back. Enjoyed the last visit where I think we had Amanda in her bedroom for a little while, and
Yeah, we were guests of Amanda's bedroom. That was fun times. Good stuff.
This podcast will be 10% as sexy as that one. I can't promise you anything more than that.
I think 10% is a little bit high, to be honest. But yes, thank you for coming on again, Mike. And
My pleasure.
Ola's been on so many times. You people should know him as well as me by now. But say hello to the people.
Yeah, what's happening, brother? Yeah, man. I live around here now, don't I? You know what I mean? This platform is more like my gaff. You know what I mean? So like Mike always says, I've got two sofas, one for me and one for next thing. So you already know what it is. But yeah, man, respect for bringing me back. It's nice to be back on the platform. Let's talk some Arsenal business.
Let's talk some Arsenal business indeed. Now, Mike, let me get your idea, because I've got kind of an idea of Ola's thoughts, but I'll come to him as well. But let me come to you first. What have you made of our preseason today so far? Just the preseason games.
I'm thrilled with it. I mean, look, you expect there to be a little bit of sloppiness. You don't necessarily look just at the final results. Winning every single game of the preseason or at least going without a loss is better than losing every game of the preseason. But what I like more is just that it seems like the team is gelling. It seems like the team got in early, which is something we haven't seen in years. There are multiple different reasons for that, but whatever the reasons are, it's making a huge difference. This team looks ready to go. Whether or not we come out of the gates racing or not, we'll see. But I think it's been a good mix of not too much travel, not going back and forth between 4 different continents. And the boys look rested and ready to go, and they've got a nice week off in between Lazio yesterday, which a lot of our first team players that are expected to start next Sunday didn't really feature too much in. So I think we'll be rested and ready to hit the ground running.
Okay. Yeah. To be honest, I think exactly the same. Ola, how about yourself? What do you make of the preseason so far?
Look, we've played some really good teams. We've played PSG, we played Atletico Madrid, and in those 2 games you couldn't really gauge what we especially with the score line, drawing 1-1 then losing on penalties. It's like the guys didn't bring their shooting boots for the Atletico Madrid game, and then PSG all of a sudden they turned it on. But if you look at the personnel that's missing in the PSG team, we played a B team, to be fair, but you still got a bit what's in front of you. Now the real test for me in the whole of the preseason was Chelsea, and the first 20 minutes of that game I thought it was a bit iffy, a little bit of unforced errors, if you like. That's what I like to call it, unforced error. We just give the ball away willy-nilly, and we got hold of the game maybe the last 20 minutes. We got hold of the game maybe last 20 minutes of, So second half we came back into our own, and on the whole, the Chelsea game impressed me the most because we didn't give up. And that was the one that really got me, because I really wanted to check the actual identity and character that Emery has actually promised the fans from when he took over. And he said, look, we might win games, we might lose games, we might draw games, but one thing I'm going to promise you is we will leave every fucking thing on the pitch. And so far, I've seen that about him, and we brought that into the Lazio game. We did all right. It wasn't a game that blew you away, So it was an average sort of test, but it was a test that the past. So let's see how it takes us into the new season. But on the whole, I'm looking forward to the season. I'm really buzzing about it. I've never been this excited about a new season, and a lot of it is down to the unknown sort of thing. You look at the way that is deployed the players in all the different games that we've played in. He's not thinking about too much, but he's kind of seeing where and who is going to do what for him come the first couple games of the season, which we all know is important games already. I know it's the first couple games, and people always say until you play the first 5 games, you can't really judge a team. But playing City and Chelsea for your first couple games is as much a test as you get any time in the season. So
I think this whole season is going to be that, though. I mean, this is a unique situation where it's going to take not 5 games, not 15 games, but 30 to 40 games to figure out who we have. And that's including the players that we've had for the last 3 or 4 years, and we don't know their identity. We don't know Mustafi's identity.
I mean, Mike, I know Mustafi's identity. And he's going to hell with grease on his boots.
Fucking hell. Okay.
That's Mustafi's identity. That guy, people are already jumping in the comments, killing Socrates already. They're saying Mustafi is better than Socrates. Like, come on. You've got the chance to look at Mustafi in our team for the last 2 seasons. You know what I mean? You've not even seen Socrates in the team yet, and yet you're saying he's already better than Socrates.
He hasn't gotten a lick of coaching, Mustafi, though. I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure Jesus himself can save Mustafi. I'm telling you right now. I'm not sure anybody in the synagogue can save Mustafi. No priest in the synagogue can
tailor
save
that just specifically to me.
Well, I like your come over, by the way.
I must admit,
So
I am in the church of Allah when it comes to Mustafi. I can't.
Well, he was on a list of about 5 people that I was going to mention who seem to have regressed since they arrived at Arsenal or within the last couple of years. And to get back to my statement, though, I don't know that you're going to know what kind of team we have until the end of the season, which is why, if we see a team that struggles early on and then figures it out, and because of that finishes, 5th, God forbid finishes 6th. I mean, I won't look at the season as a success, but I'll look at our direction as being positive. Whereas, if we start rocky and he loses the dressing room and it just goes downhill from there, then, that's about the only way I think this season could be considered a failure.
Of course, everybody's saying we need a centre back, right? Everyone I know, everybody on my timeline, people that I know, people in the WhatsApp group, even you in the last show, Chig, everybody's talking about we need a centre back. We need a commanding centre back. But what they're not really coming out with, but they're silently saying is who is that centre back that we're getting going to partner up with. And they're not saying it's Mustafi.
So I guess we need 2 good center backs then to replace the 8 that we have already that aren't good.
It's incredible. But right now, going into the season, I'd go with Socrates and Chambers. So I'd literally he's a walking liability. The guy gives me heart attack, man, every time I watch him. So to answer your question, the preseason has been okay. Bigger tests to come, but very, very good foundations to build Emery's house on so far. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, to borrow one of your expressions, Ola, it's going to take a while to stop being Father Christmas,
Yeah.
Those habits. For anything, for any sort of bad habit you have in life, it takes time before you're able to stop it, or you're able to stop working it out. Like sometimes in the preseason, I kept seeing us resorting to sideways passes. backwards passes. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. You need to go forward. And I think that will take time. It will take time. Having said all of that, I don't think, like Ola said, I don't think Jesus can help Mustafi. I think that guy is, honestly, I think he's useless. I said it fairly early on into Mustafi's career that, oh no, I could see there was not a good defender in there. And just as it's progressed, and I take Mike's point, I don't necessarily think he's been coached, but he wasn't particularly pulling up trees in Valencia either. So
Chig,
I don't
sorry
really
to cut you off there. A player that we paid 35 million for to be willing to accept 15, 16, 17 million for him. It shows the club is not really rating him anyways. Because if he was that high up there, we'd be doing a Maguire on fucking wherever it is that wants Mustafi right now.
Yeah.
We'd be telling them, come pay 80, 90 million for him if you really want him.
People forget we were going to sell him last summer. People forget that.
You know?
I don't know how put that to Inter.
So in my eyes, I don't know. For me, if we get a good offer for him, I'd offload him. I'd offload him, get somebody proper in. I don't know what can shake loose with the domino effects of a couple defenders leaving within the next few days.
What about this Vida guy that we're being linked with? Now, me and you, Ola, in particular, know the damage this guy could do. With Nigeria's first game, we could not get past this guy. It just seemed to be every time any of our attacking players had the ball, Vida would show up.
Mr. Vida.
But people,
to be honest, who was the attacking player that was having troubles in that game?
Oh, come on now. So you're gonna point to all right. What about the English players then? What about all the?
Look. I'm not starting anything. Not with you two.
No, you was about to. Don't go there, Mike. We'll be bringing you all the smoke.
I don't know. He got benched for the next game, so something must have been wrong.
But here's the thing: people are real sour on Vida. Like if you go on Twitter and mention Vida's name, people are like, "Oh, it's just another Mustafi," and I'm like, "Really? I don't see that." But maybe am I missing something, Mike? Do you know much about this Vida guy? I don't know a lot about him outside of this World Cup.
I don't. I mean, I unlike some people, I don't have dossiers on all of the Croatian and foreign players, but he certainly looked to do a good job in the World Cup. But whether he's another Mustafi or not, by the way, Ola Tom, our buddy Tom that came over with me last year, he's of German ancestry, and he was following Mustafi before he came over here. And to his credit, before we signed him, he called him the German Squillaci. So he's starting to look a little bit more right. To close that out, I'd give him one more season, and if he hasn't improved under the coaching and the positional coaching that I'm assuming he's finally going to get this season, then he goes in the bin. So, but
you're very generous, Mike, and we'll be seeing about your pen-fed cards when you come in October.
I can't believe you remember the name of the bank on my.
Man, I remember the name of your card, the numbers on it. I'm Nigerian, 419. You know about that shit.
I got an email from your cousin that
very funny.
Some crown prince of some shit. But, I really don't know about Vida. Any new defender coming in is going to kind of raise the excitement level temporarily, but we've got some potential. And I know I sound like people who were saying this the last few years with Wenger, but I'm saying this because Wenger's no longer here. We have guys. Holding isn't a shit player. He just hasn't really broken through as much as we had hoped. Chambers seems to be in the ascendancy, at least when he's played in his central role rather than being, on the right side of fullback.
Yeah, agree.
I mean, we have the potential. We need some time to let them sort it out and figure out who's going to be the right pairing. I don't know that Socrates and Mustafi is the right pairing, but maybe Chambers and Mustafi is. Maybe Holding and Mavropanos ends up being. I mean, and that's what this year is about. Because if we aren't willing to accept a little bit of short-term pain to figure out which of our 6 center backs may be salvageable as part of a partnership with a big-name guy next year, then we're just treading water. So, I mean, our weaknesses will be at the back this season. And there could be a lot of 4-3 games this season, which, it seems like a lot of top teams, including Liverpool's up until recently, weaknesses were at the back. But you can still pull through and win a lot of games. And we've got the attack to do it.
And to be fair,
sorry,
to be fair, Emery already said right from the start of the season that he likes a lot of 4-3s, 3-2s, 5-4s. As long as you get the W, he's
no better way to win.
He's happy with it. So
that's what makes him so good, though, because he started, for example, yesterday's game as a 4-4-2. Realised we weren't getting a lot of possession in the midfield, so he thought, fuck that, switched it up, put another midfielder in there. And I like that. It's so refreshing having a manager that sees a system ain't working, let's change it up. Even if it's midway through a match, let's change it up. It's clearly not working, let's do something different. And that is what I think is filling so many fans with optimism, that we have a manager that is finally flexible in his approach. I don't know if that makes...
Yes, absolutely. And you got to look at it. This is a guy that his attention to detail is second to none. And this is the people that worked with him in the past, journalists that really know him, that know how he goes about his work, the way he prepares for a team, the way he breaks down the game. They'll do the video analysis, as we all know. And it's like going to prepare for a fight. You got to know who you're fighting, and you got to know what their weaknesses and their strengths are, in able to keep yourself in the game and keep your wits about yourself. And this guy does it diligently. Like, it doesn't miss a bit. I mean, for somebody that does that, you've got to do something special to beat him. And obviously, we're not expecting all of that immediately. In this season, it's something that's going to be a gradual process. And from the game we saw, even with the game we saw yesterday, there's a lot of mixed old Wenger, new Emery in there. It's all bunched up together. There's facets of the game where you see a little bit of what Wenger was doing with the team. And like you said, Chig, you was correct in what you said. It's like a habit. You can't save a smackhead in one day. You got to give him methadone to wear out that shit up until it decides to become clean. So I'm just trying to say, this is a heavy, messy job that Wenger's left Emery with, and now Emery is the guy that's going to rehabilitate all the junkies, the bad habit junkies that Wenger's left behind. So it's true.
We're like a smackhead that's having the shakes right now. It's going to take us.
It's true, and Emery is the guy with the methadone, and he's going to kick all of that habit, kick it to the side, and then you can function properly and do what you're supposed to do and get paid for the job that you've been hired to do. And we need all these players that's been there before. Those are the ones for me that need to step up. The guys that we brought in, they got clean slates. But the guys that's been there before, those are the guys for me that need to step up and prove to show us. People like Bellerin, people like Mustafi, like we said, if he's still there. People like Ramsey, if he's still here. All these guys, they need to step up, in my opinion, to show that, Well,
you mentioned him, so let's come on. So a lot of this video is going to be about some of the challenges that are presented to Emery in his first season as Arsenal. So we talked about systems and the pre-season and shaking bad habits. But let's talk about the story that seems to be a real polarizing story at the moment, and that is Aaron Ramsey, a player who, to be quite frank, is a polarizing player. He will either frustrate the fuck out of you and wondering what do people see in him that I don't. And then there are other people on the other side of the debate that think he's absolutely world class, that he's so underappreciated in our team, that if he goes, we'll really miss him more than people think. Mike, where do you stand on the debate?
Well, first of all, Ola, I want to congratulate you on making it through drug therapy. You've clearly come out the other side a sober and a better man.
Fuck you, Mike.
Pleasure to know you. Don't relapse until I've come back home. Aaron Ramsey, yeah. I'm a little pissed off at him, yeah. I can't do that the way that Lee does it. It just doesn't flow out of my mouth. The yeah. Oh, he gave me a royal beating about that after
yeah, that was funny. That was.
But look, Ramsey on the pitch, his quality on the pitch when he's healthy is something that would make us better with him than without him. There's no question about that. And now people know I'm not an analyst. I'm not a tactician. I don't even nearly fancy myself to be. So I have no clue when Ramsey's on the pitch, how that affects other players. I mean, I just watch the game and comment on it. So that angle about it is I better leave for others. But what's getting to me, is the fact that it's starting to become an Alexis Sanchez situation.
Yes.
Now he's not griping about wanting to be on a winning team. It's not a competition thing. It's not I'm too good for this club thing like it was with Alexis Sanchez, which really, made me lose any desire for him to be around early on. I'm talking over the last summer. But he's in a position right now where he used to feud with Alexis, and it was a bit about on the pitch. I mean, they refused to pass to each other, but I got the sense that, like Koscielny, like a few others, it had to do with Alexis's stance and his contract status and the way that impacted the rest of the club. And if it had anything to do with that, what is he doing right now?
What is he doing exactly?
What is? Well, for me, he's a hypocrite, if you ask me. I mean, he's because he had a big problem with Sanchez and Ozil last season with the way they were carrying on. Them two were having bus stops after bus stops in the dressing room on their behavior, not coming to team meetings because they feel they're too big for the club and not signing contracts and wanting out of the club. And now you're now in a similar position and you're trying to do the same thing you was cussing that man they're doing last season.
To be clear, we don't necessarily know as much.
Well, I'm saying what I know.
Oh,
because Jesus told me.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, he clearly didn't and wouldn't share that with me. But I mean, the difference is we're not seeing negative body language on the pitch. We're not seeing comments and things on Twitter or Instagram that are little hints. I mean, we're not seeing anything that says Ramsey doesn't want to stay. We're all kind of formulating opinions and talking to Jesus and stuff that he wants to leave because he hasn't signed yet. And really, I don't know how else you can take the fact that he hasn't signed yet unless he hasn't been offered a contract. But I think we can all assume that he's been offered a contract. I think we can all assume he's been offered a contract about $200,000 a week from all the smoke that's around that surely leads to fire. And if that is true, and he's been offered a contract at $200,000 a week, if he's even been discussed in the context of the captaincy, and he's just not acting on it, knowing that the season starts in 6 days and the transfer window opens the day before, I'm not happy with that. And you gotta get rid. If he's not going to commit to the team by Wednesday, you got to sell him on Thursday. Because I can't.
Why do we keep increasing the deadline? Everybody was saying if he didn't sign the deal by last week, then get rid. So they increased it to last Wednesday
because he didn't sign.
Get rid. Now let's increase it to Friday, and he hasn't signed. Okay, if he don't sign by Monday, we got to get rid of him.
If he doesn't sign by January 31st, we definitely got to get rid of him.
You know what?
We keep increasing the dates.
You know why? Because people want him to stay. Yes. I get it. People want him to stay, but they're also sick of this. Because Arsenal have done this shit so many times, and he is the last of our big players that are on this type of kind of system of, well, when we're in the last year of our contract, which is going to have all the power. What I've liked is that slowly but surely we're starting to change. If you notice, all of a sudden we've secured Xhaka down to a big contract, which whether you think he should have been or not is another question. But we secured
It's a whole different thing.
Emery rates him. It's clear.
We're starting to secure big players on long-term contracts. So maybe there's a slight change in mentality that's happening. And I think perhaps, I think with this situation, it's more born out of frustration. Like, well, fuck Ramsey. If you don't want to stay, then all of a sudden they're talking about Guendouzi like he's the next coming. And don't get me wrong, the kid looks good, but talk about fucking pressure. They're starting to put him in that.
No, he doesn't need that.
And he's expected to come and fill Ramsey's spot. But I do agree with Ola. I think a stand at some point needs to be made by the Arsenal board. And that just say, all right, this is your offer. It's £200,000 a week. You know, there was a story that came out earlier today, which apparently is bullshit, that Ramsey actually wants over £300,000 a week. But I suspect a lot of it's to do with money.
And Ozil's deal has something to do with that.
I was just about to say that. I suspect, because there was a story that came out just after Ozil signed his contract, that Ramsey was not happy with how much he was getting. I was like, well, what the fuck? Why am I on... I know this sounds ridiculous, but why am I on a measly £100,000 a week when Ozil is on £350,000 a week? Is he 3 times a better player? My answer to that would be no. But at the same time, let's just be honest, Ramsey. You're coming up with this, oh, well, you should be there for the team. You should be there for the team. Fuck you, Alexis. Fuck you, Alexis. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? You're on the verge of something great with this team, something fresh with this team. Commit and be the leader of this team. And that's my disappointment with Ramsey.
Yeah, and we, you know, in one of our chats this morning, there were people who will remain nameless that were saying, you know, I don't blame Ramsey. Why he's in the prime of his career? Does he want to spend the next 1 to 2, 3 years on a project that's gonna, you know, maybe end up going well because we know it's not going to this year or next? And my response to that was like, yeah, it would be nice if you're a good player, and let's be honest, he's not a great. He's not world class. He's a step below.
Since you're going there, Mike, I think you should name and shame.
But I'm not going to do that. But I said, you know, it'd be nice to just be the final piece in a finished project all the time and just get plugged into a Man City or, you know, like Mahrez, I suppose. But that's not always going to happen. It's been made clear to this man that he is wanted there, that the new coach rates him as one of 2 or 3 keystones to the you know, to ascending back up to the throne. And that would be exciting to me as a 26, 27, 28-year-old player, you know, to be part of that and to be paid handsomely for it, not absurdly handsomely like Ola, but just handsomely, regular handsome.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm trying to win you guys back after insulting your heritage.
No, let me throw a quick question at you, Chig. If Ramsey was to end up at Chelsea through forcing a move, and because again, people who will remain nameless says Ramsey is a legend. Well, we know who we're talking about here. They say Ramsey is a legend, but if he forces a move and ends up in Chelsea, does he still uphold that legendary status?
For me, I don't think he's a legend. I get the argument.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like where you're going with this.
No, but it's true. I get the argument. He's been here for 10 years. He scored 2 vital goals in cup finals. I get that argument. But for me, he's not a legend. For me, he has the chance of leading a team into the new era as its leader. This is the opportunity he has, in my mind, to become an Arsenal legend. That's this. So for me, by going to Chelsea, you fucked that up.
Yeah.
Just the way Cesc fucked that up.
Yeah, I don't see Cesc as a legend. I don't see Ramsey as a legend. He scored 2 goals that won trophies for us, which were fantastic. Both goals, by the way, set up with sublime assists.
Yeah.
That by the same person, I think. I mean, did Giroud set up both?
Yeah.
I think
To me, he's more of a legend because he got pushed out of the club. He didn't even want to leave.
True.
I mean,
that's true. There's a good case to be made for that. I also don't think Giroud.
For over 100 goals. I mean,
I get that argument.
And Chig, you've said this in the chat box. E-Games has just said this. This is the breaking point where Ramsey has an opportunity to be a legend. He stays. He brings this team back up to champion status, deep run in a Champions League. He does that in the next 3 or 4 years. Absolutely, he's a legend. I don't know about statue legend, but he'd be there. But based on his work to this point, the injuries that he's had, which you can't fault him for that, but the especially the first one. But I mean, no, he's not a legend. And if he leaves now, if he refuses to sign and we have to sell him because we don't want him to run out his contract, then he can fuck off. I like him, but if he goes to Chelsea, I wouldn't be that upset because I think Chelsea's just a sinking ship right now.
Yeah.
If he goes there, I don't think it will go well for him. Whereas if he were to go to Liverpool, I won't be happy about that.
Exactly.
I'd rather see him go somewhere in Italy or Spain if that's going to be the case. But we don't get to choose where he goes.
But then here's the question and the rebuttal I have for every single person saying, I don't want him to go to another English club. It's either that or take him into the final year. It's that simple. At some point, you have to say, you know what? I want my club to make a fucking stand. This is the last guy in this situation. We're either going to take him into his last year of his contract, and then everyone will be twitching, nervous, and biting their nails.
100% agree with you, Chig. 100% agree with you. We've been begging for ruthlessness for a long time.
I agree with everything you just said, because I can't not stand Liverpool apart from anything. But I agree with everything Mike just said. But at some point, you have to say, you know what? If you want to go that bad, fuck off. Just fuck off.
Just make sure we get proper money.
Exactly. And that's it.
If you're going to fuck off and force a move to a team that's offering us £14 million, then you're not going to. I'd rather just keep them sitting on the bench.
But we have a habit of accepting low bids for our players. What I don't want,
except for Chamberlain, that was the one instance where I don't know how that. And if Chamberlain went at this exact stage or later for $40 million, why are we talking about $25 million for Ramsey? Why are we talking about $60 or $70 million for Martial and only $25 for Ramsey? And as Mick from the chat just said, Gordon Ramsay's a better football legend than Aaron Ramsey.
It's not wrong there.
That guy will make you fucking dinner while you're sitting there.
For real.
One thing I don't understand is, I mean, why are we the only club that's selling players for silly money? I mean, every other club is ripping up. They're ripping people off. Welbeck, cheap money. I'm hearing. We paid 17 million for Lucas Perez.
Well, that's the one that really pisses me off.
And now we're about to sell him for 4.3 million.
Well, yeah, that's
shit like that.
Because initially there was talk of it being 7 million, which was cheap enough. And then yesterday you started seeing 4.4 million. I'm like, what? What the?
Is twice as good as Lucas? Well, maybe he is.
I mean, we are like the worst dealers on the corner. If you're trying to sell drugs,
you're back.
We're like the worst dealers on the corner. You know, you're trying to shut things, and
it's all about those corners.
It's like you're selling fake shit. You know, you're selling fake. You're selling fake work, man. What's happening with us? Why are we the ones selling players on the cheap?
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
I used to blame that on Dick Law, both because it was his job and I just liked saying his name for obvious reasons. But and who was it? Tom Canton that came up. I was like, who are these guys at Atletico Madrid and at Bayern Munich who just they managed to get guys like James Rodriguez on 2-year loans for cheap. They sell their players. They buy players for cheap. I'm like, he's the opposite of Dick Law, whatever that is. And he just goes, vagina crime.
That's crazy, Mike. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben just said in the chat that it's called letting contracts run down to the last year, right? But I hear that Alderweireld is in the last year of his contract. They're not talking 4 million for him, mate. They're talking 60 million for this guy.
Exactly.
He's in his last year.
He plays week in, week out, though.
And he's been injured for a whole season.
Well, what we do
He's
is
not played a single game of football for a whole season.
We buy guys, we freeze them out so that nobody has any idea whether they're talented or not, and then we sell them for a couple of Lion bars and a Crunchy.
For real.
Which, by the way, I would gladly accept if anyone is. But yeah, no, I don't know where the Chamberlain thing came from, because that was like the one exception to the rule of we just lose money on every player that we bring through, and every other team, Chelsea sold all their players that didn't work out for them for double what they paid, and I have no idea.
It's incredible. I don't know I don't know what mode of business what model. You know what? You know what I mean? Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing to lose Ivan Gazidis after all, because I don't understand this type of deals that we keep making. It don't make no sense to me. We keep buying all these players and selling them for way less than we paid for them. At least get your money back. We send people out on loan. We got no assets now.
I heard Dortmund just offered us $2 million for Aubameyang, and we're thinking about it.
This is it. I won't put that past Arsenal. And this is the type of deals that we've been making for that is one part of the club that we really need to shake up and get in order. And obviously we got a team in place to sort all of that out. But how fast they're moving with it is
promise you
what I'm not seeing right now.
What Chelsea are doing right now, they're waiting till deadline day, and then they'll send a feeler out, and it won't be anything more than £20 million bid. And Arsenal will actually fucking think about that at 20 million.
Would you do it would you do it at 20 million to Chelsea? If Ramsey hasn't committed to the club? I wouldn't. Not for 20. I'd bench him and say maybe we find a way to reconcile this and sign him during the season. But I don't sell him to a rival for 20.
But then we're back where we was last year. He can start talking to people right bang in the middle of the season when we could be focusing on things, and he could start talking to people in January.
Well, you sit him on the bench. You sit him on the bench, and you don't play him until he either decides, like Coutinho did, to soften his stance and become a part of the team again, or he ends up signing an extension at that point. But I don't know that he's being the kind of a distraction on the team day in and day out on his teammates that Alexis was. He is just clearly doing something that is going to end up costing us money and costing us the ability to do better in the standings and in our games. But you can freeze him out, and I think his reaction to being frozen out will be more like Coutinho's than it was like Sanchez.
I mean, this guy freezes himself out anyway out of the whole season, 45% of the season.
But to me, I must admit, I would also, for anything under 25 million, I tell them to fuck off.
I tell them to fuck off for anything under 40.
And big up Josh Gunner forever in the chat. He said he said the problem is the wages for average players are too high, and I think that's a fantastic point that Josh Forever Gunner just made there. Look, we got all these players, and the good players because everybody else wants them. I get that. But if everybody else wants them, then command the right price. But if we're paying them high wages in the first place, then we're offsetting that with the price that we're going to be collecting for them to match the wages that the other club is going to be paying for them. That's already set in their contract. So it's basically making a rudder off our own back, really, and that needs, it really does need to change. And it's part of the culture of the club that I really wanted to see changing, because for me it's not so much the result or the game, but it's the whole culture
It's the
of
way
the club and how it's run
I agree.
Yeah,
that
they gotta run this
I
club more like
really want to see
we want to see some
going into
Marlowe
the season.
Stanfield run corners, don't we? We don't want
Yeah, some proper Pablo Escobar business.
But
If you don't conform, you get blown up, you get dashed out, you get thrown out.
you're right in the sense that I think before we start talking about Arsenal being title challengers or title winners, these things are going to have to go in phases. As much as I hate Liverpool, what they did with Klopp is ideally what I want us to do with Emery, where we it's kind of at least a 3 to 4 year project where you say to yourself, all right, let's just scrape these guys into the top 4 somehow, get them competitive again, right? And then just change little stupid things that we do at the club. That's stage 1. In stage 2, you start to build on your journey back to the top. So you say to yourself, right, who are the players that are best going to help me to get there? Because if you notice, we've not shopped in the very top echelons of players. We're not even in the discussion for your Tobys and your people like that.
Maguire.
Well, after his World Cup, we could
All of a sudden he's top echelon now.
Yeah. So we're not even in the discussion for that. When people talking about that, it's like, yeah, but Arsenal are not shopping in that top drawer anymore. We're shopping in that second drawer. And I know that pains people. In fact, not even the second drawer. We're shopping in the third because we won't even spend the money for the second drawer. So we're shopping in those kind of players that are.
And I don't know that we should be chopping in any higher drawers this summer, because this year we have to see what we have. And if we could finish third this year, but we end up finishing fourth, or if we could finish fourth and we end up finishing fifth, I know that particular scenario has a cost to it, but we need to see what players we have and figure out what players we don't, and let next summer, hopefully with Champions League cash in pocket, but let next summer be the opportunity for Emery to bring in and Raul and Sven to bring in guys that are maybe in the second drawer, if not the first. And that's why to say we got to spend £100 million more this summer if we want to show that we have ambition. This isn't the summer to do that, because all of a sudden you're then pushing out players that might actually turn out to be valuable, might turn into gems, and you're also keeping some of the guys there are some people who could take advantage of misfortune to the first team. Eddie Nketiah, Guendouzi, these kind of guys. You're keeping them necessarily from showing whether they have it or not.
Okay,
finally, some positivity from Mike.
Let me ask this question of Mike then, just based on what you said. Would you spend the money required for Ousmane Dembele if you had it?
What do we say that is, 70 or 80 million?
Let's say 100 million. Let's say Stan says, all right, fuck it. Here's 100 million. Go do this thing.
Not on Ousmane Dembele, no. I'd spend it. I'd try to spend it on 2 players, one of which would be a defender. I'd rather spend 60 on Maguire, who's I know he's overpriced, but he's homegrown, and B, he certainly seems solid, and and maybe a cheaper option at winger,
like Bailey or someone like that.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really following Dembele's career at Dortmund. Certainly, it hasn't gone well for him at Barcelona, I believe, partially because of injury. I don't claim to know that much about him, other than the fact that a few days ago he was at Aubameyang's father's house. I just think, unless it was Mbappe, which I can't even believe that rumor was being discussed last summer, spend £100 million on any player right now at Arsenal will completely fuck up the program and put too much pressure on everybody. I mean, I don't believe that Dembele's the guy to turn around the team. There are other people that can do it.
Would you get him on loan?
Would I take him on loan? I mean, why not?
Remember, the option to buy.
Is the loan fee $40 million?
That's the question. That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, if it really is a loan because he's surplus to requirements at Barcelona, and it's a loan with with an option to buy, why not? I mean, I'm not saying I don't rate the player. I'm just saying I don't rate him at £100 million to completely crush our spending, program and our wage structure and all. I mean, those things are gone anyway. Let's face it. But to almost double your maximum transfer to bring in a guy this late who's got question marks, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he isn't a great player, but
you're not convinced. Yeah, you don't sound convinced about.
Well, I'm convinced. He's a player that I think he, during his time at Dortmund, before he earned his move to Barcelona, scored over 15 goals in that same season. Their assists, about 10 assists. Him and Aubameyang, they got on like house on fire. I mean, this was just around about the time Mickey was looking to leave. We was actually flirting with Mickey the same time as Manchester United, but we identified Mkhitaryan first, but they got there before we did and then jacked him. So, he ended up earning that move to Barcelona, and it obviously didn't work out for him over there. But he's a cracking player. He's direct. He knows where the net is. Proper athletic. I think the injury didn't do him any justice, but, he's at a club where the demands. It's like Sanchez when he was at Barcelona. He stayed the whole time on the bench. He came down here at our club, and it was exactly what we needed. So just because he's not really been a good fit for them there, doesn't mean he can't be a good fit for us here and help us get to where we need to get to. And I feel he has everything in the locker to get back to the Dembele that Barcelona saw and paid all that money for in the first place. So I think if we land him, get him on loan, we got a player on our hands there, and that'll be a proper fire attack. I mean, that attack there would be crazy. I'm not saying go spend 100 million on him, but on the loan thing, I think that's viable. It's a viable way to go, and I don't see anything wrong in that.
Would you rather add Dembele, or would you rather add Maguire and Douglas Costa? If you wanted, I'd go and get that Vida and Dembele on loan. How about that? Right, so the choice is either Dembele or Dembele and Vida. That's
yeah, Dembele on loan. Dembele on loan. I'm not saying buy Dembele. I'm saying get Dembele on loan and go get this Vida with the rest of the centre backs that we got. And I think for the remit that let's not forget we're not going into the season. Emery's remit going into the season right now today is not to go and win the league or challenge for the league. Is to get us back into the top four. And I think with that personnel and a little bit of tweaking here and there with the couple players that you just mentioned, that I just mentioned, could get us there. It could really get us to that promised land. Especially with Chelsea. I'm not sure who they bought. They only got Jorginho at the moment, and if Hazard comes back, then they're top four. They're definitely a top four contender. I mean, I heard somebody saying that Hazard is way more overrated than Ozil. They'll remain nameless.
They have names. We're just not going to say what they are.
We're not saying anything. We're not disclosing anything here. So
I haven't seen the statement. Already could tell you who the hell that is.
Was he on this pod within the past week?
He's the type of shit that he'd say. So,
yeah.
So, for me, I just think if Hazard comes back into the Chelsea fold, then they're definitely in the top four. He could literally drag him there by himself. When this guy is on it and he wants to play for a manager, we've seen him do it. You know what I mean? Season after season, and whenever he's not in the mood for it, and he gets a couple players with him, then that manager is going to end up getting sacked, and then they'll finish 10th. So that's Chelsea in a nutshell. So Tottenham, they're not buying nobody, and if they end up buying somebody, they're looking at Zaha and Jack Grealish. So to me, if Kane
and Giroud on
gets
loan.
that, if Kane gets that £200 million move to Real Madrid, maybe could it be the last day of the window? Who knows? All these big deals could still shake up. So
Tottenham's one or two injuries away from finishing sixth.
So I think you know, with them they it's 50-50 for them for the top four. I really think if we get this bit of players that we're talking about, we tweak them in and we could really get to top four. And then once we're in the Champions League, then we become more attractive to lure players to the club. And then we can approach players dangling the carrots that we've dangled for 20 years plus of Champions League and say, okay, oh.
Okay.
That was probably hard to see, but Ryan in the chat group mentioned that apparently Barca's president has said in response to you, Ola, that Ousmane Dembele is staying. Now, who believes anything that Barcelona's president says a week before the transfer window closes? I don't know, but that's
I mean, Lacazette's president at Lyon said Lacazette wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't signed a contract extension, but you know, whether it's positioning or not, I tend to believe that he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's coming here. So
I must admit, I'm kind of with you, Mike, in the sense that I've always felt like it was a long shot. I do think the player is a very, very good player. I just don't think financially it's something that Arsenal would do, even on loan. In fact, in a way, especially on loan, because the loan fee alone, I think, would scare Arsenal enough to be like, oh, what? We spend this much and we only get him for a year.
When is the last time
Please
other
don't kill
than
my vibe?
When's the last time other than
Please don't kill my vibe. Please don't kill my vibe. Please
When's the
don't kill
last
my
time
vibe.
we took a player on loan other than Thierry Henry that was a regular part of the starting 11? I mean, I honestly don't even remember taking a player on loan. We've loaned out tons of players, but when have we taken? I'm sure I'm missing an obvious one, but can you think of when we've taken a player on loan and played him regularly in the last 8 or 9 years?
Benayoun, maybe.
Did we not take Benayoun on loan?
Yeah, well, that's a good example. I don't know that he was that big of a part of our team, but yeah, Benayoun's my boy. But
yeah, I know you all come from the same neighborhood, did it?
Yeah, he might be the last one though.
Let me quickly get your thoughts. I know your time is pressed. So 2 things I wanted to get your thoughts on before you love us and leave us. Zaha, would you take him?
Who are you asking me?
Yourself. I know your time's pressed.
Yeah. I'm hearing some crazy prices on him too, though. 70 million. I mean, we've been linked with him for a long time. Did I read that? Is that?
No. 70 million is the prices I'm hearing as well. Which I must. With Zaha, I was a bit. I could take it or leave it, but for 70 million, I'd rather leave it.
Zaha to me. I mean, he didn't get a fair shake at Manchester United. I don't even understand what that whole thing was about. It seemed like he wanted to come to Arsenal, and then he ended up at Manchester United. But I mean,
he's going to grab your manager's daughter and bending her over and just battering the hell out of it. It's a good way to get kicked out of Manchester United.
Oh, is that? I must not get the same news.
Just what I let you know. But carry on.
Oh, man. You know.
How old is Emery? Oh, man.
Big up David Moyes, by the way. Big up David Moyes.
Look, if it was 30 or 35 like it was a few years ago, maybe. But at 70, I mean, I just don't know that there's a player. I mean, we're talking about pacey wingers right now. And to me, and I don't know that he's available. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not. But Douglas Costa seems the most reasonable of all of those. And
you're Douglas Costa, aren't you?
I am. I mean, I don't know the first thing about him, but from what I've seen from him, he's good. He's good. I'm buying stock in Douglas Costa. But no, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think we need to buy anybody else this summer, and I've never said that before. And I used to think it was ridiculous to people that had said that. But I've looked at the first team on the website. There's 29 names on it, and there's only 25 spots, and that doesn't include any of the potential upgrades from the U23 squad. It doesn't include Nketiah. It doesn't include Reece Nelson. It doesn't include even Emil Smith Rowe. So there's got to be
now to include them without.
And there's got to be some serious outs in the next week. And I think we all know that Lucas will be gone. We think Welbeck will probably be gone. I don't know about Jenkinson because apparently he's just happy to sit and earn a wage and call himself an Arsenal player.
It's a week. He ain't going anywhere.
And that's killing us. But I don't know that we bring anyone else in. And frankly, with Torreira looking like a real find, and with Lichtsteiner, I was in love with what I saw yesterday from Lichtsteiner. I'm not going to mind having him around. I'm not saying he's my 38 game starting right back, but I think the business can be done for this summer. And
so you're saying you definitely have him over Zoolander, yeah?
That's a good point. Would you start him over City because we saw them play today
against City? Yes.
They still look fantastic. Fortunately.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the Shield this morning, but they, I mean, all that talk of them having a half strength squad against us. Maybe they don't have De Bruyne, but beyond that, I think they look fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Lichtsteiner, I think in bits and in certain situations, depending on the formation, depending on how much we need someone bombing forward, from the wingback type of position. I would play him as often as reasonably possible given his age and his fitness. In games where we need a little bit more speed, we need Bellerin bombing forward. I mean, Bellerin as a right back and not as a wing back is just it's over for him. I think this. I'm starting to feel guilty about this with Bellerin, but I'm not seeing any level of salvageability in Bellerin.
No. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There is nothing.
I think this whole age business is kind of crazy because we got to look at the champion last season, their captain, and who scored that last winning goal. Company scored against Manchester United, if you man remembered, yeah, last season. Company is what? How old is Company? 30,
he's 72.
35? Yeah, something like that. The guy is as old as Gandalf. So when I mean when you got someone like that and he's still doing it in the Premier League, somebody that played in the Italian league, looking after himself for the last 7 years, winning titles after titles, Lichtsteiner for me is the epitome of what a right back should be.
Well, you just went for that.
No, seriously. I mean, for Bellerin is still young, and he can still learn one or two things from this guy. And if you could take him under his wing for a whole season, learn a few things off of him, I still think Bellerin's crossing is way off. This man is crossing balls and is going to the corner flag, for fuck's sake. Like, how long have you been doing this? You can't be crossing balls like that. And he needs to learn. The coaching needs to come in. But right now, today, going into the season, like you said, Lichtsteiner is definitely the guy to take us forward, at least to get to where we need to get to, moving forward into next season. Then if we have to go and buy world class players after that, and then we've got the Champions League carrot to dangle in front of them, like I said earlier on, then we can go on and do that. But right now,
Company is 32. Yeah, he's an old 32, man.
He's a,
Come man, not for what they do, not for what he does.
I don't know.
I don't think he just needs to read the game better.
He's
I think
he's breaking down on him at 32. I don't know.
We're talking about company, Ola. Company's 32.
Oh, 32. He
Oh.
seems 62,
Yeah.
but it seems like he's been there forever.
But I must admit, I think Mike makes a great point about Bellerin. My worry is, and I think everybody has this idea, that because they're on such a euphoria that Wenger's left, that he'll improve, that Emery will come in and improve players like Xhaka and Mustafi and Bellerin. I think with Xhaka, to be honest, I think there is hope he'll improve. I do believe Xhaka will improve. Mustafi and Bellerin, I think I don't see them getting any better. I must admit, I don't. I know both are relatively young. Both are relatively, maybe there's room for them to grow or whatever. But to me, I think I personally would get rid of Mustafi now. But next summer, I would be fucking around with Bellerin or Mustafi. I'd get rid of them both. I really would. I wouldn't fuck around with either of them. Like, neither of you are good enough. See ya. And as simple as that. You have to be ruthless in this game. And for me, I think that is the second phase of our transition. Getting rid of these players that are honestly not good enough. I think we've done it to a certain level when we got rid of Walcott and Gibbs and people like that. I still think there's more to go. And I think when we do that, we start to be title challenges.
Yeah, and that's the clean out before next season.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse for next season not to be at least in the discussion for the title. This season, though, you see what you got, and then you clean out. I mean, we could find out that some of the people we think are going to be regular mainstays at the club don't have it or don't, blend in well to the system with Emery, and those guys could be got rid of next summer. We just don't know yet, and it's going to take the whole season with some guys to find out. I mean, Aubameyang, Lacazette, we know what we have there. Mkhitaryan, we think we know, but we'll see. But there's injuries, there's multiple competitions. I have to keep reminding myself, but this year is just evaluating talent. It's an extended preseason over the course of 9 months, in my eyes.
Yeah.
And you want to maintain. I don't see how you could go down from where we were last year. So you have to maintain that or improve upon it. That shouldn't be hard to do. But to try to make the leap forward this season is, that would be a bonus. But I wouldn't really expect that.
I agree, Mike.
Apparently, Yerry Mina has just signed with Everton for $37 million.
Everton, wow. Everton fucking around all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, they're buying kind of crap players for a lot of money, but they're not fucking around. Let me ask you this as we move kind of towards wrapping this thing up. Going towards City, hold on, let me ask you, right? What sort of team are you playing? We've never seen what Emery's ideal first team looks like. What is your ideal with the players we have? Forget what could happen in a few days. The players we have.
Okay.
What would you go?
Okay. In goal, I'll go with Leno. I'll go with Leno in goal. I don't think we've outlaid 26 million for a goalkeeper to go and sit on the bench. We paid more for Leno than we paid for Czech. So I think it was identified for a reason to come straight into the first team, and I think it will, even though Czech's got the number 1 shirt. So I'll go with Leno. Centre-back pairings, I'll go with Socrates and Chambers. I'll go with both of them.
Socrates' pace doesn't worry you against this City attack?
Because, look.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, it doesn't. Because I think it's in this case it's more about reading the game. If they read the game properly, they can get the job done. Okay. And the pace is not, it's not really so much of a question here, considering it's the first game of the season as well. So everybody is still trying to get their pace and fitness and all that stuff. Everybody is still trying to get it up. So nobody is 100% at this stage of the season. Right back, I'd go with Lichtsteiner. Left back, I'll go with Maitland-Niles.
Not Monreal.
Not Monreal, because Monreal ain't even kicked the ball for us yet.
Yeah,
so I'll be going with Maitland-Niles there. Two DMs going with a 4-2-3-1. The two DMs would be Torreira and Guendouzi. I'd go with both of them.
Guendouzi in this type of game. Yeah?
I will put him in there. I will put him in there. He is, for me, the way he's forward thinking is what we need. Because one thing that we know in football is the other team don't like running back towards their own goal. That's for sure. And this guy is all about moving forward. All about moving forward. If we lose it, we've got the guy there, and even he himself can always go back and make a recovery thing.
Now, before you go on, let me ask you this. Ramsey signs a new contract and stays. Do you still start Guendouzi?
Well, that changes things. That changes everything.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, that changes everything. Then Ramsey, it will be Ramsey and Torreira for me if that was the case.
Okay.
But right now, the stance that Ramsey is making, I'm not going to be playing him and encouraging him like we've done with Oxlade, like we've indulged with Sanchez when they want to leave. We keep giving them games in hope that they're going to stay. Fuck that. They can fuck off. I'm not doing that. So unless, if he shows the signature before then that changes everything. If not, stay on the bench. Guendouzi, we paid 8 million for you. Come play on the pitch. Xhaka in front of them. Because I'm not thinking we can fit Ozil and Mickey in the same team at the same time just yet. So I'd go with Ozil as part of the three. Lacazette, Aubameyang.
I feel like you just named 18 players.
No, because which
I think is a great strategy.
No. He did ask if a situation happened, then that would change the situation. But based on the formation that I went with 4-2-3-1, it'd be those players: Torreira, Guendouzi in front of the back four, Ozil, Xhaka, Lacazette, Aubameyang on top. That's it.
Okay, Ozil. Okay. Mike, same question. Who would be your starting 11 against a rampant, quick City side?
Well, keep in mind that I've already mentioned I'm not a formation hound. I don't. So someone's probably going to be easily able to break this down. But I'm just thinking as far as players and their fitness right now. I think Czech will start in goal on Sunday. I think Leno playing in the last preseason game is almost a sign that Czech is going to get the start. To me, Leno for 20 million, I think he came here in a similar capacity as Chesney went to Juventus, not to bring up a sore point, but knowing that he will probably get some games this season, but that he's the future number one. And we have a guy who's probably got one more season in him. At times he was very weak last season, but he also did the thing of all things while I was sitting next to Ola with his flask and saved the penalty right in front of us. So, after that, I think you've earned.
Yeah, that was a crazy moment. That was a crazy. We went wild.
We have a video of that, and I cherish it. But and he did it again the other day. So, I mean, for me, that's like a 3-year grace period for me. Where he one, but no, I don't think he plays. I don't even think it's Czech Premier League Leno, cup goalie. I think there'll be more interspersement with than that. But I think at least for Sunday, specifically Sunday, Czech starts. And I've just taken half an hour and gotten one player in.
His place. I don't think it sends a good message by just sliding Leno in there. I think you say to Leno, don't get his place.
And they didn't give Czech the number one.
But we all want Emery to put his stamp on the team as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Message or not, we all want Emery to put his stamp on the team.
I think encouraging the players to perform well for their places is one of the biggest fucking criticisms I've had about Bennett. That people are just entitled to their place.
Yeah,
I think
that was Bellerin's issue.
Don't get it. That I think you send the right message by doing that to him. Forget everyone else. To him.
Yeah.
You need to go and work for that place. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Back four, left to right. Mainsley, not Mainsley. I can't stop calling him that. Ainsley, Maitland-Niles will start because obviously Kolasinek's hurt and Monreal won't be fit. It's a good way. It's a good thing to get him on the pitch, even if he's not in the position he prefers, because he will put in a job. The central back, the two center backs. I mean, I think it'll be Mustafi and Chambers. I think that they'll play Socrates, but I wouldn't do it. I would play Chambers, and then Lichtsteiner and the right back would be my choice. But you know it's going to be Bellerin.
You know it's going to be Bellerin. Yeah.
You just know it is. But you asked what I would do: Maitland-Niles, Mustafi, Chambers, and Lichtsteiner. The three midfielders in some capacity. Torreira looks like he's ready to play 90 minutes. Xhaka, if he's fit enough. I mean, I know they just came back and played their first preseason game, but the two of them and Mkhitaryan. And again, with Mkhitaryan, he's the one I just don't know where to plug him in, because if he's truly a number 10 and he can't play when Ramsey plays, or if he can't play when Ozil plays, then I guess he's not going to get much time on the pitch this season. But I like him. I like what he can do, and I want to see him play more. So those three, and then some combination of Ozil, Lacazette, and Aubameyang up top. You've got to see a statement in this first game is if Lacazette and Aubameyang start together. If one of them's on the bench, and if it is, it would be Lacazette. I'm going to be disappointed. Let's just put it that way, because I really think these two need to be on the pitch together for us to be, grabbing 3, 4, 5 goals a game.
By the way, that would also be my 11. I love it for different reasons. I think you need to have Xhaka.
It's one of the reasons because we don't have that much time.
Yeah, and that. But also just because I think with Xhaka, he's a little bit more defensive-minded. I think throwing Guendouzi in there, as much as I love the kid, I just want us to protect him a little bit. So
he needs to get his run out in all of the cup games.
100%. Even some Premier League games.
If we have a midweek Premier League game, absolutely. One of the 2 games in a week.
So can I ask a question? So what's the difference between him and Torreira in terms of protecting the kid? Torreira is just as much a kid as he is.
To be fair, Guendouzi is a couple of years younger. Torreira is full international. Guendouzi isn't.
Right.
Torreira has that experience of big games, whereas Guendouzi is on the verge of.
Torreira's played games against Milan and Juve and
is just what I was about to say as well.
Yeah, and Guendouzi's played games against teams half the size of Angers. I mean,
you still got to remember when we brought in Koscielny. Where was he when we brought him? Who knew of him?
I'm just saying.
He was in League 2 playing against nobodies, even at a young age.
Listen, no one's saying that.
And he got thrown in.
I
think if he's capable of doing the job, he's capable of doing the job. It's as simple as that.
You're of the school of if he's old enough, he's good enough. Absolutely agree. Yeah. But one of the criticisms I've leveled at Arsene Wenger is the reason for Iwobi's inconsistencies. And a lot of that stemmed from where Iwobi had a really good preseason 2 years ago. So we're just going to fling him in. And now, no matter what Iwobi does, people just assume it's shit. Like, there's one geezer in my comments section. And if he's in the chat room, apologies for calling you out. But you're the name that I remember whenever I talk about Iwobi. And that's Paul Alvarez, or whatever his name is. This guy is incapable of giving Iwobi any credit. He assumes that if Iwobi plays, he's been shit. That's just the way his mind works. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans like that. And to me, I think with Guendouzi, the man is 19 years old. You know, forget the way he's built. He's 19 years old. Let's be easy. What we're saying here is not that he's not ready or he's not good enough. I just want us to protect him a bit. And with Xhaka, I would assume that this motherfucker is going to improve under Emery.
He's going to improve. He's going to improve by being next to Torreira.
I think so too. People have always said we'll see the best of him when we see someone defensive with him. All right, there you go. Let's see what you got. And against City, who, let's be honest, are going to come at us again. It's going to be like a Bukaki out there. So the best thing
Ola just got very excited.
I know. The best thing we could do.
Yeah, idiot, Mike. Mike is such a douche.
Let's put up an umbrella right next to Torreira. I don't think you expose the youngster. I think you put the more experienced guy in. And then, obviously, if we give him some experience, if we're hopefully leading that game, no problem. We're at home. To be honest, I half fancy our chances against them.
I've after the initial anger at seeing the two teams that we were starting the season off, you start thinking about it, and you start thinking about it in the context of the World Cup and the Emery factor, and I more than half fancy our chances. I mean, realistically, it's not going to be an easy game to win, but if we were ever going to beat them this season, this would be the time. Not October, not January. This would be the time to play them at home. So,
all right, guys. Well, we've come to the end of our show. Thank you so much, Mike and Ola, for joining me.
Yeah, dog. It's always nice being on the show with you. We have a hell of fun. I'm always happy to hang out with you guys.
Were you disappointed when you found out that I was going to be jumping on the train today, or
Mike, come on, man. I'm never disappointed to be on a hangout with you, man. The same way I'm never disappointed to be in the stadium with you, which we're planning to do very, very soon. So I'm actually looking forward to that. We're going to be spending some of that money you've been earning.
The sofa time. You'll be
doing all that for 8-hour shifts.
Chick, would you allow me to mention something that I've been working on trying to promote over the last couple of weeks?
I was going to give you the opportunity to plug everything that you have going on right now. So go ahead, Mike. Do you think?
Beautiful. Well, first of all, if starting with the lesser important, we do a podcast called Gooners in USA. We're going to get ramped up again. We've had pretty much a summer off with maybe one or two quick little podcasts, but we do a weekly podcast at Gooners in USA. Just a couple of folks bantering, having fun. We don't take ourselves seriously at all, because if I did, I would be exposed as a complete nincompoop. So there's that. And through the podcast and through being invited on podcasts like yours, Chig, and others, we are raising money for a very serious cause, which is blood cancers. It's a long story, but my office, my work, does a fundraiser locally here in the States every year to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which helps people with treatment and trying to find a cure for blood cancers all over the world, not just in the U.S. And as part of that fundraiser, I'm trying to leverage the generosity of Gooners around the world through our website, through our podcast. And we have created a website called Gooners versus Cancer.
Gooners versus Cancer.
Gooners versus Cancer. You can either do it the way we do, which is VS, Gooners VS Cancer, or you could do it the way you guys do it with no S, just the Gooners V Cancer. Either one will get you to the website, kind of describes what the fundraiser is. But, I mean, we know that people have a lot of charitable opportunities to give money, and that it's not easy to do that for everybody. But, I mean, if we can get this community, which is a tight-knit, positive community, despite what some people say about Arsenal Twitter and Arsenal podcast. It's a great group of people, both listeners, watchers, participants. If we can just get everybody to donate a little bit, £2, £3, $5, anything, that would go a long way towards helping us reach our goals for this fundraiser. So it's probably the one thing I'm serious about in life. It goes back to my father passing away about 8 years ago from leukemia, and just, wanted the opportunity to do something to help people avoid that. So I really appreciate what you've done, Chig, to help spread the word. Ola, you've done it as well. And publicity and shares are great. Donations are greater. And I hope some of you that are listening will take the opportunity to just send a little bit of money that way. So Gooners versus cancer. That's the big deal.
Yeah, man, I'll be definitely donating to that. It's a cause that I feel very close to myself. So I'll definitely be donating to that.
Appreciate that. And it's been very warming to get the response I've gotten from all of our podcast friends. And, I mean, you'd think people would be competitive when it comes to Arsenal podcasts, but with very, very few exceptions, it's a family. And it really feels that way. And I'm thrilled to have entered that family a couple years ago through where I never expected it to be. But this is where, family counts and family steps up. So
Absolutely.
I'll stop harping on it, but if you guys can just send a little bit of money towards the cause, it'll be go a long way. And we'll be talking about it probably for the next month or so until mid-September when we wrap up the fundraiser. So thank you, Chick, for having me on.
Amen, man. And everything Mike has just said, bar the charity, which I'll also put in the description, but it's in the description below. So his Twitter, where to find him, how to find him, it's all in the description below.
You're not giving them my home address, though, right?
Yeah.
No, not
Who's where to find me? There's people knocking on my door right now.
Mr. Capital Scorpions TV. I saw you done a
brother.
Come on, promote your stuff, man. Let the people know where they can find you.
All right. I've had a few problems with my channel. My phone went missing, then mangled up my emails and that. But I've just got the stuff back with YouTube, and the channel's back up and running. Capital Scorpions TV. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed on there, go on there, hit the sub button. It's gonna be a mad season this season. I do previews and reviews, and whatever's in my feelings, I might go kiki on you lot on there. You know what I mean? So come ride with me. It's going to be a long season. I hope it's going to be a nice season for all of us. And we'll go through the ups and downs together. Also, on Twitter, you can at me on there, Black Scorpion Free. Hopefully, Chig will be generous enough to put the link in the description below. And just go on there, at man, and we can have a conversation on there. And if you like combat sport, sometimes me and Chig, we get into that shit. We go deep in that, balls deep in it. You know what I mean? So if you like combat sports, come on there, and then we talk about that too. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Capital Scorpions TV. Hit the sub button on there.
And give Chick some thumbs up on YouTube. There's 100+ people watching and only 22 thumbs up. So I mean, it doesn't take that much effort. Come on.
That's crazy, man.
Give it to him.
Thank you, brother.
Smash that donkey fuck that like button. Bend it over and deal with it like Zaha and Moyes' daughter. God damn it! What's wrong with you people?
I was going to remind people, like the show, crush the like button, like Mike says, destroy it. It really does help the show get noticed when you guys do that. So I appreciate the love, people. And also hit that subscribe button. Pushing right through 3,000 now, approaching 3,100 subscribers. So that's great. I'm going to start putting some of my shows on iTunes. I've got an announcement that I'm working on with Stealth at the moment, but I'm just got to get back to Stealth first before I announce it on here. But something big's happened, so I'll let you guys.
Looking forward to that one.
I'm going to ride on your coattails, buddy.
Definitely about getting the show noticed. Let's put it that way. But I'll confirm shortly. But other than that, that's it from us, guys. So go and enjoy yours wherever you're listening in the world.
I told you Mike ain't going nowhere till you dash him off the show, didn't I? I told you that right at the start of the show.
All right. Wow. Take care. Peace.
Salute.
Peace.